My name is Stephen James Peterson, and this is the Raven Rising Podcast. Today's guest is Satya Beneventi. So let's just dive right into this. She has so much to say and a lot going on. And we are on with Satya Beneventi. How are you doing?
I am doing so amazing. Thank you, Stephen. How are you?
It's been a absolutely beautiful day. To the Raven Rising Podcast. It's really phenomenal to have you on. So dive into this. Let's get people to know who you are.
Fantastic. So thank you. First of all, I want to thank you for your generosity, for adding so much value by offering this podcast. And really, truthfully, relationships is what it's all about, right? So I just really want to extend my gratitude and thanks to you for having me be here today. So my name is Satya Beneventi, of course, and I'm a certified parent coach, and I'm the founder of Turning Point Parenting. And truthfully, my enthusiasm and experience working with people for over the past 25 years really has allowed me this opportunity as a parent coach for the last 6 years to really hone in on this insight, deeply working with parents and creating a safe environment where parents can share all of the rewarding and challenging experiences that come with parenting. So I've been doing parent coaching for 6 years. Absolutely am living my bliss. This is my truth. This is my passion, whatever terminology resonates with you. And I do have a degree in business management and a minor in organizational behavior. I was featured in a customer service book by Dr. Chip R. Bell called Magnetic Service. I was also featured as a small business administration success story. And I've spoken on stage at various events that have been around the country. And I'm also the lead trainer at the Jai Institute for Parents, a wonderful organization where I received my parent certification from. And I have been coaching the coaches now for 5.5 years. So really, I'm just truly living my purpose, consciously helping parents create happy and healthy homes. So that's a little bit about what I do.
Awesome. So let's jump into the next part of this. Your story, like how did this come to be?
Great. Awesome. Thanks for that question. And I want to point out too that all of those wonderful accolades, yes, that's great and everything, but here I am, I'm a parent. And I'm a parent of a 14-year-old daughter, teenager, right? And a 12-year-old son, preteen. And I'm in the trenches of parenting just like you, just like everyone here listening. And because I'm a parent, I do understand that you're really on the job 24/7, 365. So to share a little bit about my story, while I was pregnant and I read many books about parenting, I thought, okay, I read the baby book, Dr. Sears, on attachment parenting, and I thought, all right, I have this nailed. The rest of this will be easy. I'm going to start early. And guess what? My daughter, my firstborn, grew up. She was 3.5. She found her voice, and mama was triggered. So I was, whoa, wait a minute. What do I do here? This is not me. This is not me, the me who I want to be. And so I would yell, or I might put her in a timeout. And those tactics weren't working. And I did not feel good. Like I said, I was not me. But I didn't know what else to do. I just didn't know. And so I had this beautiful friend who I met at preschool. My daughter was in preschool. And she handed me a book. And she literally gave me the book and said, this reminds me of you. And I thought, oh, interesting. So I read the book. And the book was Raising Our Children, Raising Ourselves by Naomi Aldort. And that book changed me. Literally unbelievable, because it was all about, right, the title, Raising Our Children, Raising Ourselves. So it was all about raising myself and how can I be there, right,
Nice.
for my child at the time and then my children. And so that just sparked so much interest in me. I started a mom's group. I started a couples parenting book club when I was married at the time. I'm no longer married, but I was super, super passionate about parenting. And really truthfully, from the perspective of multi-generational inheritance, not passing down my baggage to my children who come in squeaky clean, right? So I took that upon myself. Like, this is my mission. I'm not going to give my children my baggage. And then, were you going to say something, Stephen?
Yeah, actually, I was going to say that I saw something on your social media that spoke directly to that. And you had put up something that said, let's raise our kids so that they don't need therapy.
Exactly.
That's probably a poor paraphrasing.
Well, but that literally, to step forward a little bit, that is the reason I do what I do, literally, to sum it up. And John Gottman, author of Raising an Emotionally Intelligent Child, he had this one paragraph in this book, and that's literally the theory and my mission. So I'm just going to read it because it's so wonderful. We have inherited, thank you.
Go for it.
We have inherited a tradition of discounting children's feelings simply because children are smaller, less rational, less experienced, and less powerful than the adults around them. Taking children's emotions seriously requires empathy, keen listening skills, and a willingness to see things from their perspective. It also takes a certain selflessness. So I read this about 7 years ago, and I was in my training, and I thought, my gosh, that's my theory, that's my mission. And so to kind of go back to after I received that book, Raising Our Children, Raising Ourselves, started the moms group, started the couples parenting book club, serendipitously, the Jai Institute for Parenting dropped into my lap. And this opportunity presented itself to become a parent coach. And I couldn't even believe it. I remember I was sitting in the coffee shop and I was looking at my computer, and this came into my inbox, and I opened it up and I thought, this is a joke. Like, really, this is a joke. Are you an entrepreneur? Have you been an entrepreneur before? And I had. Are you passionate about parenting? Have you used QuickBooks in your business before? And join this conference call if you want to learn how to be a parent coach. I was like, oh my gosh, that's me, pick me. So I got on this conference call, and I absolutely knew I had to do this. This was my total calling. So I accepted, and I joined in the first group, and I went through the training, and I've not looked back. So I've been coaching parents, of course, like I said, for 6 years now, coaching the coaches in training for 5.5. And yeah, so that's kind of how I got into what I'm doing here. And it's really this peaceful approach to parenting and how to be in relationship with my children. So this style just really nailed it for me. And then I just desperately wanted to share this with as many parents as possible because they work. So
Beautiful. Beautiful. So, due to the fact that you and I are changing the format up to have fun with my podcast on this today, I'm going to throw a quick break in here and we'll be right back.
fantastic. Thank you.
And we are back with Satya. Hey, so on your why, I want to hear you kind of touch on a subject real quick because it's super pertinent to what you've grown into. And if you don't mind, speak a little bit to how the parenting skills that a lot of us grew up with are not necessarily the best skills that we've had. And that was, I'm feeling here, one of the main reasons why you really needed to grow into this, and that it just became this beautiful impetus for you.
Yes, so great. Thank you. So for sure, I was raised in a sort of middle class family. We'd have dinner every night together. Mom and dad are still together. I have 2 siblings. But the big piece about it is that we didn't talk about our feelings. And it is a huge, huge component. Obviously, it's emotional intelligence, right? So I was walking through my living room about 15 years ago. I was married at the time, before children, of course, as my daughter is 14. And I was walking through my living room, and PBS was on in the background, and it stopped me in my tracks. And there was a little segment on there about teenagers and how teenagers need extra sleep because of the chemical reactions happening in their brain at the time. And I just thought, oh my gosh, I need to tuck this into the back of my mind. If and when my husband and I at the time ever decide to have children, I really want to understand what children are going through developmentally, because I don't want to, quote unquote, punish them for something that they're doing that's a developmental process. And so again, that PBS special just kind of like, again, it stopped me in my tracks, and I started thinking differently on a level of their brains are developing, what's happening in their brains at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I started, and we didn't have children yet. And it was just planting the seed. And so we decided to have children. And that is literally how I decided to parent my kids. I read this Gazelle Institute for Human Development. They put out these books. It's your 1-year-old, your 2-year-old, your 3-year-old, your 4-year-old, your 5-year-old, etc. And each book talks about the characteristics of the age. And the characteristics of the age were dead on for each year that my children were growing up, right? So the 2-year-old is this, the 3-year-old is this. And you understand what's happening in their brains. You have such a better understanding of how to parent that child. Obviously, one of the bigger things, actually the biggest thing I have to say, is this umbrella that lies over all of the knowledge and expertise that we can learn by reading books. And I tell my clients this all the time. You can read 50 parenting books, and you can glean all kinds of tools and tactics and ways of trying to shift the paradigm in your home, right? From maybe dominant, from the way we were raised, to maybe a more peaceful approach or an empowerment approach. You can read all of these books. If you're not getting to the root cause of what's happening for you, all of those tools and tactics, they're not going to do anything. It's like covering up a gaping stab wound with a Band-Aid, right? It's not going to do much.
Yeah,
So you're not,
absolutely.
right,
Absolutely.
you're not getting to the root cause of what's happening. And the root cause here is your triggers. So from your subconscious patterning. And that's what I hear the most from my parents when they call me, and it's either one or two things that they have going on. They're either looking at their child's behavior and it's something that they want to change, or they're looking at themselves and saying, I can't even believe I don't know what to do with this anger. I need help. And so those are the two ways that I usually tend to see parents coming in. And go ahead.
You just touched on something massive there. I wish that, and this is part of what you do, so you're actually the answer to that wish. But it's one of those things where I wish it was more common knowledge for people to, when they're a parent, to know how to deal with the frustration and how to deal with the different things that happen in the home. So that's why I'm a huge fan of what you're doing here, because you're giving people the tools that I wish I would have had when I was dealing with my kids.
Yeah, Stephen, exactly. Thank you. Yeah, it's critically important. Again, it's that gaping stab wound with a Band-Aid, the book being the Band-Aid, right? So creating a paradigm shift in your home, it starts from you. It starts from within. And if we can manage our frustration, our anger, our overwhelm, our upset, our confusion, right, our big, big, big emotions, and unpack those emotions, they always, always have a tendency to come back from your subconscious patterning. And your subconscious patterning is set. So from birth to 7, there's not a barrier in the brain between the subconscious and subconscious and conscious. And at 7-ish, it starts to lay down that barrier. So all of those messages that you were given from authority figures in your life, parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, teachers, those messages then stick. And then we operate, according to Dr. Daniel Siegel, Dr. Daniel Goleman, right? We operate from our subconscious 95% of the time. So can you imagine whatever those messages are? And I work with clients all the time, and we unravel these messages so they don't pass them along to their children. So that's what comes out. So they're triggered, and then they blow, and they're blowing because of their subconscious patterns, right? Their storylines.
Mm-hmm. I don't know how to properly address this, but that was probably, well, it's not probably. I know for a fact that a lot of the issues that I had parenting came from the fact that I had so many maladaptive behaviors due to the environment that I grew up in. And another reason why I'm like totally amped about having you on the podcast here is that it's an opportunity for people that may have come from less than perfect and pristine environments to be able to get the proper tools in place so that their kids are able to have a brighter future.
Exactly. And then the ripple effect, if you really feel into that, and thank you for sharing that about yourself and your upbringing, but the ripple effect that has, right, around the world.
Oh, absolutely. Because that people don't realize that those little actions that happen at home, it's like infectious. It gets into the school, it gets into their playmates, it gets into the rest of their peer group, and it just keeps going from there. It gets into people's business lives when they become adults.
Exactly.
It gets into their relationships with each
Exactly.
other. So yeah, it's massive.
Yes, it is massive. And so obviously my work is niched for parents, but I have taken a woman through the program who wasn't even a parent. She was so intrigued with the transformation. She was a big yes. So of course it transfers to all the other relationships that you have in your life, not just your children, because it's your subconscious patterning, right? It's those storylines that you tell yourself, it's limiting beliefs that you hold about yourself, like I'm not enough, right? Or I'm worthless. I mean, I hear it every single day. I was on 2 back-to-back client calls before this beautiful connection here that we have. And it's constant, all the messages. And then we just carry that so much in our day-to-day life, obviously subconsciously, without knowing. And then unfortunately, we really do pass that along to our children.
So I'm going to throw a quick break in here again, and we'll be right back. And I know the direction I want to take you in when we get back.
Great, thank you.
And we're back with Satya. So one of the things that I get from reading through your material and going through your social media, because I was doing my research on you and we had a phone call before this too, that I really want to emphasize to parents, especially if they're going to be an entrepreneur, because, oh man, the stress level is so high that they absolutely need to be able to get something like what you're offering into their mind when they have kids, or even before they have kids, if they're going to do that, so that they're able to deal with all those stresses. Because it isn't until you're face to face with a 2-year-old or a 5-year-old that you realize what type of, maladaptive behavior that you may have hidden back there.
That's right.
How do you feel about that?
That is so dead on. I can't even begin to tell you. And I'm going to share this example. So I was giving a talk about 5 years ago, and this couple was in the audience, and I was speaking to them after the talk, and they said, "Oh, we were so intrigued with your information. This is so wonderful. We're considering getting pregnant, and would it behoove us basically to take your course now, because it's a 10-week offering?" And I just looked at them and I was so straight, and I said, "No, absolutely do not start now." Because it's exactly what you just said, Stephen. Not until you have that child in your room with you. There's a concept called Ghost in the Nursery, and it's a book, actually, that was written in the 60s. I'm pretty sure I might have gotten that date wrong. But it's called Ghost in the Nursery. And essentially, when you have that child, and this is a little woo-woo, but this was the book, it's not me. When you have that child, the entity of how you were parented comes out of, you, the mama, and then the father, the entity of how you were parented comes into play, the ghosts in the nursery now. So those entities, right, of how you were parented now come into the picture, right? So not until that child was born will this unveil itself. And so it's fascinating because, I mean, truth be told, and going back to my personal story, I was with my ex-husband and I were together for 24 years. And we were together 15 years before we had children. And we ran a business together. We were best friends. We were entrepreneurs together. We did everything together and we wanted to. And guess what? Lo and behold, we had children and everything changed. And I just remember going, what is happening here? Right? Who are these entities that are trying to co-create together in this home? And it just, did not work. And so not until that child came into the picture did that come into play. So, it's wonderful to be proactive, right? And say, hey, I want to try and get some of these tools under my belt. But truth be told, really not until you have that child can you have the experience of what is actually, you're going to parent the same way your parents parented you? Are you going to flip and go to the opposite side of that, right? So there's anywhere in between. So you're not really going to know until you're actually with that baby.
That's so true because you see it even amongst students that want to become teachers, that they can crush all their college classes. They can just hammer down there and be phenomenal. But once they get in the classroom with the students, that's where the rubber really meets the road. And if they don't have the proper coping skills and the proper, psychology in their own mind of how to work with the children and how to empower the children, that you sometimes watch these early teachers just derail and don't have the ability to be effective in their work.
Right. Exactly. And the thing that I see with the most, the parents come to me, and like I said earlier, they're trying to handle their big emotions, or they're trying to, look at the child and say, I need to change the child's behavior. But a lot of what I hear, which is really wonderful, actually, because I'm not trying to do a kind of jujitsu move on my parents. Come on in and let's have a little discovery session together and we talk, but there's no surprises. There's no surprises that we're going to look at you. Because what I'm saying is that the parents, when they come to me, I'm hearing my kids are verbally abusing me and I'm letting it happen. Okay, subconscious pattern, right? I'm a doormat. I fly off the handle. Maybe when my children disrespect me, or I have so much guilt about reactionary patterns toward my children, or this other one, right? Like people don't say it in this way, but parenting sucks. It's not what I thought it would be, right? Like, let's be real.
It's a 24-hour a day, 7-day a week, 365-day a year job.
And is parenting draining you? And have you lost touch with who you are? Have you shut down because no one's listening?
Parenting is one of those things where it can feel like it's a 30-hour day.
Of course. But I have to say, it doesn't have to be that way. And we are the creators of our own life. We are the creators of our own life. So if you choose to change the paradigm in your home and you make that commitment and you're serious and committed, it can happen. And
what are the key things that, now that you've been doing this for quite a while, that say we get somebody on here that's an early parent, or they're about to be an early parent, or they've even, had kids for a couple of years now. What are some of the key signs that you've seen amongst parents that are kind of like a flashing light, or a kind of a klaxon of, hey, you need to get in here and get some help before this metastasizes?
Well, I usually
are there key things that you've noticed there?
Sure. I usually don't call parents out on the playground, but here's the thing. It does go back to, like, so seriously, to answer your question, it goes back to when parents have a tendency to want to point the finger at the children. that's where the big red light comes up, right? So whatever your beliefs are, or your own beliefs, but I believe children come in pretty squeaky clean, and I believe that we pass along our baggage to them. And really, that's the big red light. The red light right there that just screams out is when you have parents that are pointing the finger at the children and saying that needs to change, that behavior needs to change. Because where on earth do we feel that they received that? It's modeling. It's imitation.
Modeling and
It
imprinting.
is.
Modeling and imprinting.
And they're going to imitate us without a doubt. It's classic. So it's really beautiful, actually. And when parents are ready and they're hurting enough, and they're ready to make something shift and change. And actually, like that really beautiful couple that came into the talk, who they were being so proactive. I was like, no, you don't need this yet. But so it's either that or the other. So it's either when people are in so much pain. Like I had a client, Stephen, who, this is such a powerful, powerful story. She told me when I talked with her on the phone, she's married and she has 4 boys that are 2 years apart. And she literally said to me, I feel trapped. I am suffocating and I want to die. I am fatigued all of the time, and I'm incredibly unhappy in my marriage and in my parenting. And then she said this, I am shocked by my displays of anger in my parenting and I need help.
Oh, that's amazing that she had that wherewithal to have the insight.
Exactly.
That's beautiful.
Exactly. So she stopped using her voice, and she basically let her authentic feelings fester, and she pushed them under the rug, and she was afraid to bring anything to her husband, and their children saw them fighting all the time, and she felt awful, and she wanted to give up and run away. She really did. But it was a beautiful, beautiful, she is literally, Satya, just let me talk to anybody who's considering that she's unbelievable transformation in her home. Just, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
I'm going to throw a quick break in here. I'm going to throw a quick break in on you again, and we'll be right back. And we're back with Satya. Hey, Satya, I was just bouncing something around in my head real quick, and it was that if people are finding resonance here with anything that we've said so far, I really want them to get in touch with you, because you and I could so easily do a forever long podcast. I already know that about you and me from our conversations, and we'd have a lot of fun with that. But I really want to push them actually away from this podcast and more to you, because it's really important that they understand that the skills that you're going to give them and the kind of the dissection of the issues is something that's not going to be able to happen here on the podcast. We can't solve that problem here, but if they get into your program, that they're able to find that.
Yes. Wonderful. Yeah, thank you. So it's pretty simple. As I mentioned at the head of the call, I'm the founder of Turning Point Parenting. So it's turningpointparenting.com. Pretty easy, turningpointparenting.com. And then actually in the middle of my page, literally in the middle of the page, it says, if you would like some free parenting tips, just click, it says learn how. You can just click that. You can just get a little taste of kind of more of the methodology with which I use and how I speak. You can get some 5 free parenting tips that will come into your inbox if you click that. So that's pretty simple. Yeah.
Now, and again, that's just a kind of a teaser for people, that the real magic happens is when they engage obviously with their spouse, they engage with their children, and they engage with you. Because even people who think that they're the greatest parents in the world, and this is actually the scary part, is that the people who think that they're just crushing it as being like this phenomenal parent, really are blind. It's the same thing like with business mentoring. You need someone else out there to like grab you every once in a while and be like, hey, are you conscious of what you're doing here?
Absolutely. Yes.
So, I saw that you do so much for these people. Are there certain times where you've encountered people that they've come in and they're oblivious to some of the behavioralism that they've encountered in their own relationships?
Well, it's really interesting that you say it that way. And it's so when parents do come to me, like I mentioned, they're usually in some sort of pain, right? So they're in some kind of an awareness where they have pain. Like I said, whether they're saying it's the children or whether they're saying, I don't know what to do with my anger. But the underlying piece to that is once they say yes and we're working together, that is when the magic unfolds. That's when through my listening, I really hear those beliefs and those patterns and those storylines that keep them stuck. And that's that beauty. That's that connectivity. That's that one-on-one, or I offer groups too. You can be in a group. But that's that moment and that's that time. That is where you can see things and I can unpack things that aren't really maybe there at the surface. It happened this morning with a gentleman. And whoa, it's just this awakening moment where, oh my gosh, I didn't look at it that way, right? And the way I see my role is to be an advocate and a guide for how you want to choose, your own parenting within your own unique family dynamic, of course, using the principles of peacefully parenting. But I'm your advocate and I'm your guide. And I like to also say I'm the enlightened witness. I'm really here to validate you and your experience and hold space for you in that experience. Because you know what? Again, not until you're a parent do you realize, whoa, this is what hit me now, all this subconscious stuff from my past and how I was parented. And there's no judgment. This is called your coherent narrative. There's nothing wrong with your story. It's your story. And it's how you perceive your past. And it's your truth, but it doesn't mean that it can't change. And we can create new neural pathways until we die. So
I think that, yeah, that's massive, is that people need to realize that you can change that narrative. You can absolutely get out there. But one of the key things, and this is going to speak to a lot of dads, is that you can ask for help. Because dads are horrible at this. It's the whole guy mentality of, my whole misogynist joke that we were leading into on our phone call before recording, that, we come from a background to where we aren't really given the best tools to be dads, because of, you can blame it on entertainment, you can blame it on a bunch of different things, but the truth is, there aren't a lot of good sources out there for men to learn proper nurturing for children.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I have coached many men actually, and it's been such a joy. Granted, it's out of the hundreds and hundreds of women I've coached, I'd probably say I've coached about 20 men. But that's okay. It's wonderful that the paradigm is shifting, and I think it's fantastic that we're all in this together, right? We are. I mean, we're all one. We're all in this together, without a doubt.
What I'd like to see is actually, and I've already alluded to that, is I'd love to see a lot more guys approach you with this, because in the last, I don't know, maybe this is an incorrect statement. Maybe there isn't a golden era in our past ever in our history to where things were better, and that we're actually heading towards our golden era. But, dads didn't have dad school to go to. Us fathers and stepfathers and adopted fathers, there was no like real schooling out there. And even if they did give you certain tools, that they were really lacking, because it was, here's your quarter credit for high school, kid. This is what you need to know to keep the kid alive.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That I would to see a lot more gentlemen approach you and get into your program, because I could see so much more of a blooming of the flower of children if they're able to get more of this messaging into their life. It would totally, totally change the dynamic of how they see being a
Yes,
father.
and you know what triggered me when you were, in a good way, when you were just speaking there, was my work may sound maybe sort of like woo woo, maybe up in the air a little bit about, oh, we identify limiting beliefs and then we uncover them and then we create new pathways and give you there's so much more. This work is it's very structured, it's very organized. It's a 10-week program. You get handouts, you get class audios, you get homework, you get meditations, but you also are learning a lot about brain science. What's happening in the brain, right? What's happening when your child rolls into the tantrum? They're rolling into fight, flight, or freeze. And what can you do as a parent when your child is in fight, flight, or freeze? Nothing. So don't try and talk. They're not going to hear you. It makes it worse, right?
Yeah, and the louder you get is not
And it's not
helping.
helping the situation at all. So there's those components of the program where it's not just, oh, I'm going to identify your limiting beliefs. We go deep, it's understanding brain science and child development. It's creating, you get an empowered conversation blueprint. There's a lot of stuff in the program. You get a 5-step process that you use with yourself and your children throughout the whole thing. So there's lots of tactical, hands-on. You know what I talked about, the tools? You can read all those books, but it's like a Band-Aid covering up. That's why we look at you first. So we look at you first. I'm like a detective. I do a lot of, due diligence and really deep diving and digging. And then at the end of the program, more toward the middle end part, you get a lot of tools. And so all the way, though, through the program, I'm listening for those storylines that can create shift. So it's a powerful combination. It's not just tools, and it's not just, let's look at this piece and off you go. It's a very structured combination of really creating a deep transformation. And to be honest, for me, I've been doing this work, like I said, and I've also been doing this with my children. My daughter is 14. I've started it when she was 7. And my daughter, literally, yesterday she tells me, Mom, we were at dinner together, having a little mommy-daughter dinner. And she said, Mom, thank you so much for being so smart in life. She goes, lifey life. It was so funny. I knew what she meant. And we had a little conversation about it. But then also, when she was 13, she came to me and said, you're the only person I can tell everything to.
Beautiful. So I'm going to throw another quick break in here, and I have something that I think that you're just going to find delicious when you get to dissect it.
Oh, awesome. Thank you.
I'll be right back. And we are back with Satya. So Satya, what I wanted to lead this one into was, and you just triggered it for me, was that internal self-speak. And this goes way beyond just parenting, but for this podcast interview, it's going to be focused on what you do. But you and I, because of the mentoring group that we're in and other things that we've encountered, realized that internal self-speak that we have, man, it can destroy people on their attempt to try to be an entrepreneur. It prevents them from being the better person in their own life because they have that soundtrack playing in their mind wherever it got embedded from, whether it's coming from parents, bad teachers, bad influences. That I would love to have you speak a little bit more to that, about how you help give parents, mothers and fathers, the proper tools to allow them to hit eject on that tape in their mind that's playing, so that they're not playing that same story out into their children's life.
Yes. Okay. So that's awesome, Stephen. Thank you. So again, at the beginning and the intention of the program is to look at you. And so you have a form that you fill out. And this is not about the program, actually. Let's just like not even talk about it because it doesn't even matter, because I'm so in this for the service to help people. I understand that, again, you can create new neural pathways until you die. So when you understand a subconscious pattern that is at play for you, and you do, it comes to the surface and it comes out onto your children. And again, it's just that enlightened witness concept where I'm there, totally, totally there to bring that to the surface and to bring it to light for my client. And then we create a new neural pathway or a new belief for them, and then they anchor it. And, again, when you started the conversation in this line of questioning and asked me to comment on it, what came to mind was the component of self-love. The component of self-love. And yesterday I just wrote a little piece on what if we were taught to love ourselves? What if we were taught to love ourselves? What would everything look like, right? So we'd be able to shine that inner light so brightly. There wouldn't be those layers, the proverbial peeling back the layers of the onion, if you will, right? To get to the core and the essence of you. There wouldn't be that. And so if we were taught to love ourselves, so this, and what I ask my clients to do, if they would be willing to do so, and I guide them with so much love and compassion and energy, how are you going to take care of yourself? Because if you can't take care of yourself and you can't love yourself, you can create all these new neural pathways and everything, but if you're not anchoring yourself in self-love, caring for yourself, creating a practice for yourself, it's not going to be sustainable. And literally, personally in my life, it is without a doubt 100% one of my non-negotiables. I can't miss it. I meditate every morning. I journal every morning. I go walk in the woods every morning, and I do yoga 4 times a week, 3 to 4 times a week. I have to. I absolutely have to. And some of you might be listening with little babies and say, oh, that's unbelievable. I can't do it. You might not be able to get all that exercise in. You might not, for real. Let's just be real here. But you could get up 15 minutes before baby, or even when baby's like lying next to you, like my son, who is a night nurser, lay there for 15 minutes and do your meditation. It is so critically important to have that self-care piece, because that just obviously enhances and actually it catapults all of those new beliefs and all of those new neural pathways that you're trying to create and connect for yourself and for your family. And so I say we really kind of put the kibosh on selfishness. It's not selfish for you to take care of yourself. It's not. It's the antithesis of that.
Yeah.
Right? Because you can show up with your cup full and help everybody all around you when you've tended to yourself.
And that is something to where our business coach, Peter Voog, speaks to that regularly, that if you want to give the best life to those around you, you need to take care of yourself and create the best life for yourself. And then you have the tools to be able to deploy for the people around you.
Exactly.
And that know yourself, acknowledge yourself, and gratitude is huge here, because once you're able to find gratitude and appreciation, even for the bad things that might have happened in the past, once you know how to properly speak to yourself about that it completely changes your outlook to everything else, to where you can change your entire life. You're not stuck at any point. It doesn't matter if you're 20 hearing this, if you're 50 hearing this, if you make the conscious decision and you find that positivity and the right reasons to do things, you can change everything tomorrow.
Exactly. And that goes back to what I said earlier about being the creator versus the victim. We are the creators of our life, right? Totally the creators. Mm-hmm. So you can do, be, or have anything that you desire. We are the creators. So again, it's all here. And again, it just goes back, putting that mirror right up, look in that mirror. And that's where you will have such deep connection with your children and so much peace and harmony in your home.
I love the fact that you have an entrepreneurial background and then got into this, because I realize that it gives you a completely different viewpoint than some of the people that come into this that might just become a parenting coach. If they've never been through the entrepreneurial struggle and journey, they don't have the real true understanding there. They don't have that authentic transparency to it like you do. And that's one of the reasons why I love having you on this podcast, is that my intention is that young entrepreneurs and, well, even middle-aged entrepreneurs get into this, that when they do find someone for parent coaching like you, Satya, and this is why you're here, is that they find someone who aligns with their background. So since you've created businesses before you got into this, you're able to relate with those professionals at a higher level than a lot of other people will. Because I remember one of the people I dealt with when my kids were younger, that lady had no concept at all of what it was like to build businesses and to run a business from home, because she came from an academic background. She was used to getting the government check every month. So she had no idea what it's like to deal with the fact that you were up till 3 a.m. dealing with your business, and then trying to find that smile and positive place to put yourself into for the kids the next day.
Right. Exactly. Yes. And I did work corporate too, but only for 2.5 years. So Stephen, can I leave you with a little something I'd like to read, and then we can close out? Yeah,
absolutely.
This is so I read this to the parent coaches in training after their first chunk of their training is over. And it's just such a phenomenal poem by Khalil Gibran. It's on children. And your children are not your children. They are the sons and daughters of life's longing for itself. They come through you, but not from you. And though they are with you, yet they belong not to you. You may give them your love, but not your thoughts, for they have their own thoughts. You may house their bodies, but not their souls, for their souls dwell in the house of tomorrow, which you cannot visit, not even in your dreams. You may strive to be like them, but seek not to make them like you, for life goes not backward, nor tarries with yesterday. You are the bows from which your children, as living arrows, are sent forth. The archer sees the mark upon the path of the infinite, and he bends you with his might, that his arrows may go swift and far. Let your bending in the archer's hand be for gladness, for even as he loves the arrow that flies, so he loves also the bow that is stable.
Nice. All right, so I'm going to throw one last quick break in here. I'm going to bring you back one more time. There's a couple of last things that I'm going to make you do before you leave, and then I'm going to let you get out of here so that you can get back on to what you're doing each day.
Awesome. I love it. Thank you.
So Satya, the reason why I brought you back is that I need to make sure you do something before you go. Can you please go over where people can find you, how to get in touch with you online, and how to be able to get a hold of you for your services?
Yes. Okay. Awesome. Thank you. So again, it's turningpointparenting.com. And my name is Satya, so Satya. You can just send me an email as well, satya@turningpointparenting.com. And then also I do have a Facebook group, Turning Point Parenting, so you can find me there as well. So it's pretty consistent to the marketplace. So Turning Point Parenting. That is it. That's how you can find me.
Are you saying that we can find you at Turning Point Parenting?
Maybe. You might be able to find me there. Yes.
So one more thing that I know that I really wanted to ask you, and I'm going to try to make sure I'm quick with this. Future plans. What do you got coming up? And I am going to ask this also. Is there a book bouncing around inside that head of yours that you're about to pen? Come on.
There's so there is. I don't even want to share it yet because I want to make sure I actually do it. But yes, it's in process right now, and I have a sweet
now
little.
now you know what I'm gonna pick on you
I
about every
know.
time after this.
I know exactly. I was so hesitant. I'm like, do I say this? Yes, so I do. And then also I am really shifting and I'm going to be creating an online hub so where parents can land. And we've got some education-based training. I'm creating some courses online. You'll be able to hear from experts in the field, in particular fields ranging from parenting, obviously, early childhood education, nutrition, technology, to sexuality, all related to parenting and children. And so it's going to be this hub where parents can go and really just get just a plethora of information and answers and choose whether or not you want to grab a course, on co-parenting. So I obviously am divorced, as I mentioned earlier, and I've created a co-parenting program that's almost ready to roll out. I've got it's a program called Trigger Happy. So if you're just super interested in just the piece on triggers, go for that. I've got benevolent boundaries. And so if you really just want to know how to set boundaries with your children, so there's a lot of little things that are coming within that hub. So stay tuned. It's all happening.
And do you have any speaking events coming up anytime soon?
Oh, great question. I don't think I have anything on the docket. I go to LA every year, but it's for a private Jai Live event. I don't know. I do not have any speaking engagements as of now.
We're going to have to change that for you. So, parting shots. So is there anything that we did not touch on that you wanted to speak to while you were here?
Actually, no. And really, the last thing I do want to say is, of course, there's so much more I can share, but I really, really, really appreciate you, Stephen, and for this opportunity and for what you're doing for all of us. And again, like I mentioned at the head of the call, it is all about being in relationship and co-creating together. And so I really appreciate your time and I appreciate your engagement during our conversation here today. And that's it. I just want to thank you and have so much gratitude also for all of those who stayed here to tune in to listen to the very end. So thank you.
Awesome. All right, everybody, that was Satya, and she's awesome. All right.
All right, everybody. That was Satya Beneventi. Make sure you find her on her social media, find her on her website, and definitely get in touch with her. If you've got young kids and you're stressing out, she's definitely somebody that can help you. So get in touch with Satya Beneventi. And for the podcast, share this, give it away to people, make them listen to it, hold them down in their car. Probably not. You'll get in trouble. But also find us on our social media. You can find us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter. Man, I don't know where else you can find us, but if you find us on Tumblr, what are you doing over there? All right, everybody. Thank you very much for your time today. And again, thank you very, very much to Satya Beneventi for joining me here on the Raven Rising podcast.